Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Stronger Futures Project. And today I am going to share with you, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I do for a living. And what I do, one of my specialties is I'm a postural specialist, and I teach people in a non medical way how to become pain free and to do this without suppressing it with medicine and also an alternative to surgeries. There are several surgeries, there are many medical interventions that are done that are absolutely necessary. And I'll say that there are some that are absolutely necessary, but there are a majority of medical interventions that are not necessary. And you can do a quick search for yourself. You can do a fact check, whatever you want to do. But what I want to share with you is that we bought into a system, into a belief system, and I have conversations every single day with people. And as I hear their stories, the stories that they've somehow believed, that they've bought into, and they begin to ask the question, why hasn't anybody told me this? Now, what I want you to do is just for a moment imagine waking up in the morning without the familiar aches and pains. Just take a moment and think about that. There's a sense of relief, there's a sense of energy, there's a sense of freedom. Picture yourself standing tall, firm, standing tall with your shoulders back, a smile on your face. There's no thought of what that first step is going to feel like, except that it is amazing. And what if the weight's been lifted off your shoulders? What if that pain in your neck, and I don't mean the other person that you are working with or dealing with, I'm talking about the physical pain in your neck that subsides. And each step that you take is a step of confidence, and it's a steady. It's not worried about what you got to grab when you're going down the stairs or as you're walking across the room. And you can picture the imbalances in your body are gone. What would life do? What would life's experiences bring as you experience that kind of a life? Now, as a postural specialist, what I understand is that our bodies are constantly compensating. Our body is very smart. You know, our eyes are the leveler of the body. So if you close your eyes and you go around in circles, you lose your bearing. Well, that's what happens when your body's out of balance, when your body's out of alignment. And when I talk about alignment, I'm talking about how your muscles are moving your bones. And understand this is a common fact, that's a common knowledge that bones don't move muscles. Muscles move bones. So our muscles, when they're not in alignment or when they're not operating properly, or they're compensating for something else that's happening in our body. Let's just take for an example, if you have a headache and you feel lightheaded, and you're going to grab the counter, you're going to take apprehension as you're walking across. Well, your body's doing this constantly throughout the day as we're making compensations for the dysfunctions that are happening elsewhere. So if your knee is sore, you're going to be a little bit less weight on that side, and the other side of your body is going to take over. So as your posture gets better, as it improves, this also improves your balance. Now you move with grace and ease. And imagine that you're walking across the room without a care in the world, no thought. Pain is gone. You forgot what it was like to have pain. I actually had a conversation with like one of my clients just last week, and he said, as we go through the assessment and we talk about things that he's experiencing over the last 4 sessions, he said, I forgot what it felt like to have pain. And it dawned on him. He said, I forgot how good it feels to feel good. Now, imagine you're walking across your room. You're bending over to pick something up. You're reaching for something on a high shelf. Your muscles are working in harmony. Everything is working the way that it's supposed to. Imagine what that would feel like. Picture that. allowing you to perform activities, daily activities, with less effort and greater efficiency. The simple act of standing or sitting or getting up is no longer feels like a strain, but it's a natural extension of your body's newfound movement because of a newfound alignment. Now, this isn't just a hyperbole. This isn't just physical transformation. What happens is that as our body transforms, as we start to feel better, as we start to experience life in a different way, we begin to imagine what is possible, what else is possible. There's a shift in your entire being. There's a shift mentally, emotionally, biologically, and spiritually. I believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so, as we feel in our heart, let's say, when we feel like our heart is broken, our heart's not broken, it's just an emotion that's taking place. So, when our body is out of alignment and we're having these pains, what's happening is it's affecting every other dimension of our life. And as you get into alignment, then all of these other areas now get the reward of that. So you feel with every free movement a shift in your relationships. Your mind is clearer. Your emotions are stronger. They're more stable. You're no longer enduring life. You're embracing it. And you feel alive and engaged. Imagine what that would feel like just for a moment. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, I've been dealing with this for a long time, and this is just the way that life is. And if you know me enough by now, one of my favorite saying is challenge the narrative. Who told you the narrative that you're buying into? Now, with the hundreds of people that I've worked with as a postural specialist, I've had people tell me all kinds of different things. And the one thing that I want to ask them, as one thing that I do ask them, is, do you believe that? And I will challenge that narrative. And I don't put false hope. I don't think hope is a strategy. I think taking action is a strategy. I can't wish that my garden doesn't have any weeds in it. And I can say chimes all day long that there's no weeds in my garden. There's no weeds. There's no weeds. And then I go out and guess what? There's weeds. And if I get a hold of the weeds and I get rid of them and I get the root of that weed out, that weed can't grow back. Now you're going to say, well, Stan, other weeds are going to grow. And so it's just going to be a perpetual thing and it's going to take place. Well, that's not necessarily true. Yeah, there's going to be new weeds. But as my body begins to move and it engages other areas of my life, guess what? Thinking creates a chemical release in my body. And as I change my thoughts, then I change what I'm able to do. When I change what I'm able to do, I change what I'm able to feel. And when I change what I'm able to feel, I change what I'm able to have. And I have had countless clients that have been told the best of the ability of the person telling them that there was nothing that they could do for them, that this is just the way that it was going to be. And I challenge that thought. And I love a challenge. And I want to say, if you're listening to me, if you're hearing me, if you know somebody that's in pain, I'm challenging you to take me up on an offer to go to my website and book a virtual coffee, and let's just have a discussion, a 30-minute call. There's no sales in it. I just want to know what it is that you've done, what you are wanting, and what you would be willing to invest in yourself. Not just money. Money can be replaced and money can exchange. That's not the thing. The quality of life overtakes any monetary form, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, you have nothing. And that's just the fact of it. So imagine having the life that I talked about a little bit earlier. And one thing that I want to say is that as I'm doing this today alone, is that there's so many people that are um, just adopting the idea that pain is part of life, and it's just part of the process, and you just accept it through the idea of, well, I had this football injury 40 years ago, and it's just the way that it's been. I'm challenging you to rethink that, reconsider the possibilities. Now, this is the power of postural alignment. It's different than physical therapy, and I'm just going to go on the record and say that. And here's the reason. I was talking to my neighbor, and he was telling me about his daughter who had headaches and back pain constantly. Like, headaches were profusely just destroying her days. And so I went and I talked to her. And if my neighbor's watching, this is true. Um, and that's the fact. And I was talking to his daughter, and I was explaining to her what it was that I did. And she said, "Oh, it sounds like what I do." And I said, "Well, what is it that you do?" She said, "Well, I'm a physical therapist." And I'm thinking, how can you institute physical therapy and you are suffering with pain? Now, doesn't mean that postural therapists don't have pain. I'm going to say this. There are days when I'll have a pain, but I know what to do to get it back into alignment. And I also have a source of a community that I can go to and I can talk to. And this is the beauty of being vulnerable and transparent, is that nobody is exempt from having an emotional pain, a physical pain, a spiritual pain. Nobody's exempt from it. We're having a human experience. So let me go on the record and say, there's a way to do this. I don't carry that pain for over a week of a period or a month of a period of time without reaching out to somebody who can better help me. And so if you're experiencing pain, why are you enduring it? I had a conversation the other day with another gentleman, and he was telling me about a friend of his that goes to the gym and he works out, and he's been in pain for 6 months or more. And he just endures it because he wants to work out. Now, here's what I want to say. You cannot build strength without being aligned. You'll have a dysfunctional body. You're compensating in other areas of your life. This is the power of posture alignment. It's not just about standing up straight or sitting up proper. People will say, my mother used to say, sit up straight and stand up, and make sure that your back is arched and your shoulders are back. It's more than that. It's about your body just naturally. And I say naturally after it's been trained to do those things. So this is a training. This is where you find balance in every sense of the word and moving through your world with a renewed vitality. Now, as a postural specialist, I understand that pain does persist in our community. I know that. I watch this. I watch the way that people walk. I'm a people watcher. I love watching people. And I read body language, and I'm watching these grins on the face and when they're reaching over on the bottom shelf at the store and they can't quite make it. And you just know that there's something that you can do. There's a better way. Pain doesn't have to be part of the process. And if it has been, I challenge you to take me up on the offer. Prove me wrong. Because there is a possibility, a great possibility of a solution. I tell people this: unless you've been hit by a bus in the last 2 hours, there's very little that I have not been able to overcome with posture. That's the truth. Because when we understand that the muscles are putting the body in its position, and when your body is out of alignment, this is what happens. We have headaches, we have brain fog, we have the inability to enjoy the things in life that we truly enjoy. And I want to ask, why would you settle for anything less than all that you could have? Now, When I talk to people and I share with them what it is that I'm doing, and they say, "Well, I've never heard of something like that. I thought that I had, take Advil and take Tylenol." And my question is, do you understand what those drugs are doing, not just to increase your pain? And you say, Stan, how can that be that they're increasing my pain? It goes away. Well, what it's doing is it's suppressing it. It's taking those nerve endings and it's suppressing it. It's numbing it. And so what we're doing is we're doing actual greater damage by not addressing the root cause. So just like the example when I talked about being in my garden with weeds, if I didn't pull the root out, and I just clip the leaves, I guarantee 3 days later, that stupid little weed is going to grow new stems and it's going to grow more weeds. Well, that's what happens in your body. So the lack of awareness, many people are unaware that their pain is linked to posture. Without understanding the root cause, they seek temporary fixes like medication, or they rest it, or they ice it, or they heat it, rather than addressing the underlying issue. I have people that tell me that their knee hurts. And I say, I want to see what your hips are doing. And I look at their alignment and I'm seeing shoulders are jacked up, shoulders are rounded, heads forward, hips are tilted. Well, there's a reason why your knee hurts, because your knee is taking all the blunt. It's compensating for everything that's dysfunctional in the physical body. Also, misdiagnosis. Pain is often created in an isolated symptom. It's when you go to the facility and you say, I got a shoulder pain. They go, okay, well, it's probably rotator cuff. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you a cortisone shot, or, probably going to have surgery. And I had one lady that had rotator cuff surgery, and she still had no range of motion. She still had 9 months later, had no range of motion without pain. She could not bring her arm out 90 degrees. It was way less than 90 degrees, and she had a pain level of 8. And I had her come to the house, and I don't normally have people come to the house, but she was a friend of mine. And I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a few exercises and let's see what happens. And I said, now what have you been told the diagnosis to follow up, why you're still having this lack of range of motion? And she was told by the doctor that, hey, it could take a year and it may not ever get that range of motion back. Now, in less than a half an hour, and I'm giving you a big expanse. It was considerably less. It was more like 20 minutes. I had her do some exercises, and these are passive, easy done exercises. And when we were done, I asked her to move her arm up. She brought her arm almost straight up to her ear in 20 minutes. And her daughter is a massage therapist. And I had her daughter come along with so she could see what it was that I was doing. And they were blown away, because just the week before, she was told that it may be 9 months. She may never, another 9 months on top of the 9 months that she'd already had this surgery and a lack of range of motion, another 9 months, maybe never get that full range of motion back. But they went in and cleaned it up. And in 20 minutes, she brought her arm up. Now, I use that example over and over because I'm saying challenge the narrative. Imagine if your diagnosis wasn't correct. How many people have surgeries done and they never address the root cause? They just address the symptom. My theory is quit chasing symptoms, quit chasing the pain. Your shoulder hurts. I love you, but I don't care that your shoulder hurts as much as I want to know, why is your shoulder hurting? What is making your shoulder hurt? Why are you keeping your pain? And I'm passionate about this, and I'm intense about this for a reason, because I'm tired of the narrative that so many people buy into, that it's it's annoying. It's one of those things that makes me wake up in the morning, and when I'm talking to people and I'm looking at them and I say, how long have you had this pain and why are you having this pain? And they tell me a gamut of reasons. And my question always comes to, what if that wasn't the case for you? What if that weren't really the full story? I think Paul Harvey used to say, and the second half of the story, or he talked about the greater story, the end of the story. That's not the end of the story. So a misdiagnosis. Now, what else causes this? Habitual patterns. People often have this ingrained in their habits, such as slouching. We've gone to this whole virtual world where we don't even leave our home. And so we sit on a dilapidated chair. And I say, why are you putting a $10,000 butt in a $10 chair? Wouldn't it be better to have a $10,000 chair to accommodate your priceless body? But yet so many people just say, well, it's paid for. No, it's not paid for. It's costing. It costs you money. It costs you time, energy, relationships. It costs you more than the pain itself. It costs you a lot, lack of sleep, a lack of cognitive strength, creates chemicals in your body, increases cortisol in your body. And what that does is that cortisol in your body that's that fight or flight. When our body is constantly in that fight or flight, we're diminishing so much more of our existence. So a lot of people keep pain because they're in fear of movement. They get to a place and they sit there all day long. Chronic pain can lead to fear of movement. It causes people to become sedentary. If you're sitting on a dilapidated chair or a dilapidated couch, or you're sleeping in a bed that sags, there's a fear of getting out of that bed or out of that chair. And that inactivity exacerbates the postural issues. It's kind of like a broken dish. If you don't get rid of it and you know that it's broken, it's going to crack. It's going to open up. And usually it's going to open up at the most inconvenient time. Maybe you have been dealing with pain and you've avoided going to a family function, of a gathering, an outing, a celebration, because you just couldn't walk across the dance floor, or you couldn't walk across the stadium, or you couldn't walk across the yard. And you didn't want to burden anybody. That emotional pain also takes place in your body. The other thought is the quick fix mentality. We live in this microwave world where we just want to press a button and in 30 seconds we want to pull it out, and we want a quick fix. And if you're taking Advil, Tylenol constantly, it's a quick fix that's causing you a greater price elsewhere in your body, because we know for a fact that the coatings and the content, even the label says, do not take this for more than 7 days in a row. And I can tell you, I can attest that I used to have headaches that were debilitating in the spring and in the fall, and I would attribute it to the barometric pressure. And I would take Advil, cold, and sinus, and I didn't realize the damage that I was doing to my liver, damage I was doing to my gut lining, the damage that I was doing to my kidneys, among the other chemicals that it was suppressing and eliminating in my body. And I discovered that there was a postural condition that I was experiencing. And I've always had a pretty good posture. I mean, if you were to survey a number of people, they would say Stan had great posture. But there was some misalignments in my body. And once I became aware of it, I haven't had an Advil in over 6 years. So the idea behind that is better institution, better application creates a better result. Often, this painkiller, it is just shutting up the language of the body, which is pain. So pain becomes the language that the body utilizes. And as we understand that, now it begins to talk to us just like a crying baby. A baby has multiple different cries. And there's one that's hungry. There's one that's I'm agitated. There's one that I want attention. And then there's a one that I'm in pain. And a mom or a dad knows the difference of the tone of that pain, a tone of that cry. Well, when our body's in pain, if we just shut it up with an Advil or a Tylenol, we're just suppressing it. And it's what's happening is it's leading to a long-term problem. With posture alignment, when we get the body into alignment, this is a long-term correction. And once you start to feel good, you don't want to go back. It's a relationship with pain. It's there to let us know that something isn't right. When I've reached out and I've grabbed a hot pan and my body goes, "Whoa, that's hot," and I reflex. But imagine if I didn't have nerves in my finger, if I didn't have the sensory, if I didn't have the ability to feel, and I reached out and I grabbed that hot lid and I just held on to it, and then I put it down, I'd look at my hand and it'd be melting. The skin would be melting. So pain is my body's ability to say that something is out of alignment. Here's the other reason: inconsistent practice. So, you can't just go to the gym and do bicep curls one day and think, now I'm strong. Now I'm there. I've achieved it. You don't just eat a meal on Monday morning and then the rest of the week you don't go. No, you're eating a couple times a day, and you're eating every day, unless you're doing like a fast or some spiritual discipline, and not doing moving is telling your body, hey, I don't need you. So as we do this movement, most people I know want to get out of bed. They want to walk across the room. They want to grab that Gojo. They want to grab that juice. And some people can't even reach out because pain is debilitating. So inconsistent practice. So whatever you practice enough of, you become. So if you practice good thinking, you become good thoughts. You become good energy. If you're not working these things and they become stagnant, these are the experiences that you're going to have. So why would you keep that? Overlooked emotional and mental factors that go into it's not just your physical pain. It's not just taking an Advil and suppressing the physical pain. You're also suppressing the emotional aspect of it and the mental aspect of it, because we ruminate those thoughts when we're not able to move around. And posture alignment enhances the ability to do that. It removes negative emotions. Negative emotions reside in our body. I've had many clients that have told me about an emotional experience that's going on in their life, and they get a knot in the back of their neck, or they get the knot in the back of their back. They get a knot in their stomach. And it's by the thoughts that they're thinking. It's about the emotions that they're experiencing mentally now resides physically. And so there's a combination. And as we understand that if our body is in better alignment, now blood is able to flow, our organs are in better position. And this is the truth. When your body is in alignment, everything else is in alignment. I had a client in the very beginning, and we did the assessment. We talked about the different things that he was experiencing. And so I have this assessment that I do. And he was sharing with me 3 weeks into our postural therapy. And he said, I've noticed that I don't have GERD anymore. That's gastrointestinal reflux. And I said, I looked at his sheet and there was nothing on there about him having acid reflux. And I said, you didn't mention it. He said, well, I didn't think it was important. It's not posture. And I said, this is the misconception. Because as your body gets in alignment, your organs are part of your body. Our body is one unit with multiple entities. It's multiple functions. It has multiple facets. So when alignment begins to take place in that, everything else in our life gets the reward, gets the benefit. So is posture alignment complex? And I will tell you this, it is not complex. It is simple. It is, maybe sometimes it's too easy. Like I have people say, I just want to do a HIIT routine. I just want to do like a bounce up and down. And I want to, well, we got to get the body back into alignment. And I'm going to use the example of Conor McGregor. And if you watch the way Conor McGregor fought Cowboy the first time that he fought him, he lost. I think it was a 40-second fight. No, maybe that's when he won. The first fight that he fought, he got beat. And if you look at Conor McGregor's shoulders, now he's a massive powerhouse. He is a dynamite. And I would not want to be in the ring with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's shoulders were really, really rounded. And if you go back and you look at the videos of him fighting Cowboy the second time, his shoulders were back. His punch was harder. His punch was stronger. He had a greater capacity. And I think that round went, that win went in 40 seconds. He won that. Now, because his body was in alignment, he began to work with a postural specialist. And when you understand that, now you understand the capacity that even an elite athlete experiences. I've worked with pro athletes and I've worked with 6-year-old kids. I've worked with 90-year-olds. And when you understand that you are not limited by what your past experience is, but what you contribute going forward, it creates a greater outcome. Posture problems can be complex. They can, because of the training that we've trained our body to do, but they don't have to be. So it is mitigating that rotation. It's mitigating those things and changing the way that the body is in alignment, and then you create a greater outcome. One of the things that people want to do is they want to go to Dr. Google, and Dr. Google wants to give you all kinds of advice. Well, the problem with Dr. Google is that that doctor is not actually looking at you. It's just reciting what may have worked for one person. Now, your body is completely unique. So you getting into alignment, it takes a specific diagnosis, a specific assessment, and to see what's going on in your body. Though you may have similarities, there's a specific protocol that helps you make that change, that changes that. By addressing the barriers and the limitations that you experience right now, you create a greater outcome. You break free from the cycle of pain, and this helps you achieve lasting relief through being posturally aligned. Now, some of the things that I deal with: chronic lower back pain. This is something that a lot of people have. They get generalized advice that doesn't address their postural imbalances. Why is your lower back bothering you? That's what I want to know. So why are people keeping pain? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like hitting your finger with a hammer and asking the question, why? And you say, because it hurts less to hit my finger than to hit my head with the hammer. That logic doesn't make any sense. So when I understand that I don't want to hit my finger or hit my forehead with the hammer, then taking that and addressing the imbalance is the key. Neck and shoulder tension. I work with people that have neck and shoulder tension constantly, constant headaches. People struggle to find lasting remedies, lasting protocols are often overlooked, and being specific to the particular body condition, the body position. So the position of your body, going to an activity, creates the condition, the outcome of your experience. If you change the posture of the body, now you're bringing a condition to the activity, you're going to have a different outcome. Hip misalignment. This is a big one. Many people, you just take a look at people, how they stand at the grocery store. You'll find that a lot of people will shift their weight and their foot will be everted out, and they put more of their weight. Moms carrying babies on that one hip, grandmas carrying babies on that one hip, instead of switching over because it's their favorite hip. Now then you look at their body and their hips are going over to the side, their shoulders are going over to the other side, and they've got this spinal curvature. And they wake up and they're tight, they're in pain. Well, because they're training their body. So when you understand that and you correct those imbalances, proper hip position makes all the difference. Sciatic pain. I deal with sciatic pain all the time. Sciatic pain, it's a condition that is often linked to posture. The psoas muscle that runs up through the hip joint attaches to the spine, comes back down the other side of the body, comes through the hip joint. It's the only muscle in the body that runs through. The psoas muscle runs through a joint and comes down to the other side. It's the only muscle that does that. So when that is tight on one side and loose on the other, now you get that sciatic pain. And many people just deal with it. And I say, why are you dealing with it? Why not eradicate it? Don't manage pain. That's the dumbest statement that I know. Pain management. Why do I want to manage pain? I want to eradicate it. I want to get rid of it. I want to eliminate it. I want to have a life that is abundant and free flowing and getting up energized and not waiting for the shoe to drop. Knee pain. Knee pain is something else that I work with as well. These are all the symptoms. These are all the pain position, the pain points, but they are not the cause. So understanding that the site of pain, 97% is not the source of pain. And I'll work with people and they'll notice that pain begins to migrate, and they don't have the pain in their hip anymore because they're getting into alignment, but they notice a pain up in their shoulder area. And then it migrates to the other side because pain doesn't go in a lateral line. It migrates. And as we begin to eradicate, we begin to mitigate, we get to the root cause. And once we get to that root cause, then we can eliminate it. Foot and ankle pain. This is a big thing. What we're putting on our feet, what we're keeping our feet in, and those comfortable shoes that are completely worn out. I know they're comfortable, but they're not causing you any great results. They're causing you to have an unfavorable outcome. Ankle, our feet take all the weight of our body. I want to say that it is 5 times the amount of our weight goes to our ankles, our feet. And so that impact is constantly there. And when our feet are not in alignment, when we're in shoes that are restricting our feet, this is where bunions come from. It's shaping, it's training the muscles to work in a certain pattern. And that's not what we were designed for. Rounded shoulders, kyphosis. You see people with rounded shoulders and you just say, well, that's just the way that it is. And I say, no, it's not. It's a training of the muscles. It's a shortening of the muscles in the front and it's a lengthening the muscles in the back, and it's the inability to move our arms and engage our shoulder blades. As you understand that you are in more control than what you may have bought into the belief, maybe you've been scammed and you think that you're just stuck with it. Your mother had rounded shoulders and her mother had rounded shoulders and her mother had rounded shoulders. It's just hereditary. And you see your daughter with rounded shoulders. Well, it's the activities that we're participating in that create the outcomes that we're having. And now when you know that, if you had a flat tire, but you got 3 other tires that are fully inflated, would you continue to drive? Okay, maybe that's a bad question because I've seen people do that. But the truth of it is you wouldn't. You'd stop and you say, you know what? Maybe I should fix that. No, maybe I should take an Advil and that tire's going to inflate itself. I don't care how much Advil you take, that tire is not going to inflate itself. It's going to need to go to the repair shop. And then your car's going to need to get into, guess what? Wait for it, an alignment. If you hit a curb and you throw your car out of alignment, everything else is going to start to shake. And if you don't address it, greater damage is going to get done. You see people with their head being forward. Their head is in front of their shoulders. And then you'll also notice that their hips are now in position with their head, but it's not in position with the rest of their body. And so their hips are forward, back is pushed backwards, and their head is forward, and they've got headaches constantly. There's a correlation there. It's a muscle alignment. It's getting your body into a position and getting your posture positioned properly and training the muscles to move those bones so that you can have a fully functional, fully enjoyable life. Pelvic tilt, either anterior or posterior tilt, rotated hips. You'll see people walking out of one femur where they're walking normal, and then the other hip, they're dragging it around. They're kind of carrying it. This is a pelvic a dysfunction. So when we know that there are multiple different rotations that take place, you can have one hip rounded and one hip tilted all at the same time. And there's a way to change this. Tension headaches. I talked a little bit about this earlier with my own experience, what I thought was attributed to a sinus condition. And actually it was a sinus condition, but it was because of my posture. When you know, you can't unknow. When you hear this, you can't unhear it. When you experience it, you can't unexperience it. But my offer is for you to book a call. Go to my website and book a call. 360lifewithoutlimits.com, and go there and book a virtual coffee and let's have a discussion. Now, I know within the sound of my voice, there is at least one person that is getting a hold of this. And you know a dozen people that are in pain. This happens every single day. Every day I talk to somebody, they know more and more people. Share this talk. Take me up on the challenge. Let's challenge the narrative that you've been told, and let's look at the diagnosis and see what else is possible. So this is what I want to offer you today. And don't keep your pain. Pain is not your best friend. It is the language that the body is using to say something is out of alignment. And on this episode of A Stronger Futures Project, the Stronger Future is about you becoming stronger physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, biologically, socially. Because I know more and more people that don't go to functions because they're allowing a physical pain to eliminate it. And you can say, Stan, I've tried everything. If you've not tried this, if you've not had a call with me or another postural specialist, you've not tried everything. And if I were in pain, I would turn the world upside down to find the possibility. And that's what I want to offer for you. So until we meet again next week, I want to encourage you to stay strong and look at your body. Go look in the mirror and see if there's something that you don't like, that you'd like to change, and book a call. And let's have a conversation about the possibilities and the probabilities of you having a life living without pain, a life without limitations, because a life without pain is a life that's full. Until then, have an amazing week.